بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين وبعد. So we're on chapter 5, Kitab Tawheed, Bab, Tafsiri Tawheedi wa Shahadati and La ilaha illallah. So he said, Bab, the chapter of Tafsir. Tafsir is the interpretation of a Tawheed and what Tawheed means. And then wa Shahadati, and then also the Tafsir of the Shahadati and La ilaha illallah, which means the interpretation of the meaning of La ilaha illallah. And this is all stuff that has been covered at the beginning of the book. All right, from the very, very first chapter, from the introduction. So as you see, when Imam Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab, when he started the book, he didn't start off with anything from himself. He didn't say, oh, I'm talking.
We took this book. We took this chapter already.
Huh?
We took this chapter already.
You sure?
Yes.
You sure?
Yeah, we took this chapter already.
We didn't record it.
No, we took it up. But I remember because you explained, but also...
Oh, we didn't. We must not have recorded it, man.
Okay.
All right, we'll figure it out. But all right, so this is because I remember explaining this part right here. It was all taken from the introduction. Like we understand what Tawheed is from the introduction. When he gave the ayat, وَمَا خَلَقَتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ, and the different ayat that he brought, we understand what Tawheed is about. But this is just a reiteration, to reiterate the point. So he said, وَقَوْلِ اللَّهِ تَعَالَى أُولَٰئِكَ الَّذِينَ يَدْعُونَ يَبْتَغُونَ إِلَىٰ رَبِّهِمُ الْوَسِيلَةَ أَيُّهُمْ أَقْرَبُ وَيَرْجُونَ رَحْمَتَهُ وَيَخَافُونَ عَذَابَ إِنَّ عَذَابَ رَبِّكَ كَانَ مَحْذُورًا. So he said in the statement of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he said, أُولَٰئِكَ الَّذِينَ يَدْعُونَ. And he said, and those that they call on. Because the people, what he's saying is that because the people, they used to make dua, there's two different calls from the people of Tafsir in regards to this ayah. One of the statements is that they're calling on the Salihin of the Anbiya, like Isa and whatnot, different people from the Anbiya. And another statement, which is in Sahih Muslim, is that they're calling on the jinn. That they used to make dua to the jinn, but then the jinn became Muslim. And then the jinn started doing actions that were pleasing to Allah and trying to get closer to Allah. But the people still continued to call on to the jinn, even though the jinn accepted Islam. So he said, أُولَٰئِكَ الَّذِينَ يَدْعُونَ. So those that they call on, because they're making dua to these people, but these people were on khair, they were on righteousness, but they're trying to use them as like a wasila. He said, those people that they call on, يَبْتَغُونَ إِلَىٰ رَبِّهِمُ الْوَسِيلَةِ, that they seek that wasila with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, alright, which is al-qurba. They're trying to do whatever they can to get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. أَيُّهُمْ أَقْرَبُ, so they can see who is going to be closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and more righteous in their actions. وَيَرْجُونَ رَحْمَتَهُ, and that they hope for His what? They hope for His mercy. وَيَخَافُونَ عَذَابَ, and they fear His punishment. إِنَّ عَذَابَ رَبِّكَ كَانَ مَحْذُورًا. And he said that the punishment of your Lord is what? Mahdura, something that you have to be wary of. You gotta be, you have to be careful of falling into. You try to stay away from it, stay far, far away from it. You don't want to be anywhere near His punishment. All right, so it's talking, like I said, the narration in Sahih Muslim, I read it directly, is an Abdullah ibn Mas'ud رضي الله عنه في قوله أولئك الذين يدعون يبتغون إلى ربهم الوسيلة أيهم أقرب. قال كان نفر من الجن أسلموا وكانوا يعبدون فبقي الذين كانوا يعبدون على عبادتهم وقال أسلم النفر من الجن. So here Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, when he's given the tafsir of this ayah, أولئك الذين يدعون يبتغون إلى ربهم الوسيلة أيهم أقرب. قال كان نفر means what? A group. It's not a small. It's it's a decent, like a smaller size group. So a group of the jinn, they became Muslim. وَكَانُوا يُعْبَدُونَ, and they used to be worshipped before they became Muslim. فَبَقِيَ الَّذِينَ كَانُوا يَعْبُدُونَ عَلَى عِبَادَتِهِمْ. But those that used to worship the jinn, they remained what? They remained on their form of worship, of worshipping the jinn. وَقَالْ أَسْلَمَ نَفَرُ مِنَ الْجِنِّ. But that nafar min al-jinn and became Muslim. But they ended up becoming Muslim, so they were the ones, fearing the punishment of Allah, trying to, hoping for the mercy of Allah and fearing His punishment, and doing the things that bring them closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, while these people continue to make dua to them, even though they weren't, they had nothing to do with that anymore. So this is the meaning. And the other people said, this is a statement of Abdullah ibn Abbas and Mujahid. He said, وَهُمْ عِيسَى وَأُمُّهُ وَعُزَيْرٌ وَالْمَلَائِكَةُ وَالشَّمْسُ وَالْقَمَرُ وَالنُّجُومُ. He's saying that this was all of these things.
I remember I wrote it down.
Maybe like I said, we might have recorded it, but we didn't post it. I'll double check it, inshallah. If not,
I remember because Nafar, Wataifa, small group. These are all the notes.
Look. Just go to the Institute and look. If there's no 13th lesson, then that means that we didn't record it, or we recorded it and it got deleted. So whatever the case may be, we still got to continue this lesson. All right. Then after that, he said, وَقَوْلِهِ وَإِذْ قَالَ إِبْرَاهِيمُ لِأَبِيهِ وَقَوْمِهِ إِنَّنِي بَرَاءٌ مِّمَّا تَعْبُدُونَ. No, it's 12. And the 12 is the second part of this chapter 4. That was the Sahl ibn Sa'd al-Sa'idi, the hadith. All right. So here, وَقَوْلِهِ وَإِذْ قَالَ إِبْرَاهِيمُ لِأَبِيهِ وَقَوْمِهِ. So Ibrahim saying to his father and his people, إِنَّنِي بَرَاءٌ مِّمَّا تَعْبُدُونَ. That I am completely disassociated with everything that you worship. That he disassociates himself because his father used to make and carve out the asnam. He's telling them that I'm completely disassociate myself from everything that you do. And this is, of course, from the conditions that a person that, this is where the people, they said that the 7 conditions of La ilaha illallah, and they make this the 8th condition, which is what? Al-bara'atu min ash-shirki wa ahlihi. That you have completely al-kufr bil-taghut or al-bara'a, all of these things, this is a condition of Tawheed. Because your Tawheed is not complete until you have this bara'a. Because how can you sit here and accept that the none has the right to be worshipped except Allah, but you still have love for the kuffar, and you still have love for the people that are worshipping other than Allah, and you have love for the people who go against what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commands. You can't have love for these types of people. So this is the whole issue of al-wala' wal-bara'a, that the wala' is always going to be for ashab al-haq, the people of good, the people of khair, and al-bara'a is always going to be for the people of evil, the people of opposition to the sunnah, and the people, especially the mushrikeen. How could you have love for them? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is giving you the correct understanding of La ilaha illallah, and you have love for a mushrik? Even to the point where a lot of the Muslims now, they're marrying these Christian girls. It's like how? Okay, aside from the fact of permissible or not permissible, it's really not permissible what they're doing, because number one, the condition of marrying a Christian girl is that she has to be from the muhsanat, which means she has to be chaste. That's game over in America anyways. Show me one Christian girl that reached the age of marriage where it's legal for you to marry her in America and she's still a virgin. Come on, please. That's a joke. So she hasn't committed fornication. So, but then on top of that, why would you want that woman in your house? But then the second condition of you marrying a girl is that what? All right, let's say that you found a chaste girl. You went to like Mexico and you got married to one of these girls in the village. Yeah, you can find it there. You're not going to find it in America. You might, but it's going to be, boy, you're going to have to dig. But you go to like Mexico, you probably find a Catholic girl who's, she's chaste and all that, because they have better upbringing. But, okay, you found her. Now, what's the condition of you marrying her now?
Her dad needs to be involved.
Well, no, I'm not talking about the wali.
The kid has to.
Yeah, she cannot practice her deen in your house. You can't have her hanging up statues of, like putting statues of Mary and hanging crosses on the walls and taking your kids to Bible school and all this type of stuff. No, she is not allowed to practice that religion. She wants to practice her religion. She goes to her whatever church or her parents' house and she practices it over there. But her religion has no practice in the house, and especially not around the kids. And the kids cannot be influenced by all that. So how many people now can honestly say that they married a Christian girl and that they can, let's say, we've established these conditions? That you married a girl who's chaste and that her religion has nothing. You can't see it in the house.
And you have to...
that's the same condition of a kafir going to a Muslim country. You can go to a Muslim country and you can do business with the Muslims. You keep your religion in your own country.
Before marrying this Christian girl, she has to be notified before she cannot practice her religion in South Africa.
Obviously. You need to inform her of that, teach her. she's gonna marry you because she needs to understand that this is her conditions.
Did any of the Sahaba marry a Christian woman?
I don't know.
Or a Jewish woman?
I don't know. All right. So he said after that, he said, all right, إِلَّا الَّذِي فَطَرَنِي فَإِنَّهُ سَيَهْدِينِ. He said, except for the one who فَطَرَني. What does that mean? Say فَطَرَني. Find Kitab Tawheed. Somewhere over here. Huh?
Do you want one?
No, if he just digs under these, come over here. Or no, actually, it might. You don't see one up here. See what I don't know. Oh, right here. Make sure. Fatarani means what?
Like created me from
He
nothing.
created me. فإنه سيهدين. He's the only one that's going to guide me to the truth. All right. وجعلها كلمة باقية. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala kept this as what? This La ilaha illallah. And is what?
Inherited in his offspring.
Yeah, that it continued on throughout his offspring. All right, for all the different anbiya that came after him through his offspring. And باقية في عقبه. And all his progeny that came after him. لعلهم يرجعون. With the hopes that they'll return to the truth. So this word and this truth, the La ilaha illallah, it remained. And this da'wah ila Tawheed, it remained. And and then of course it came to the end with the final message of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He's also from the progeny of Ibrahim. And then after that he said, وَقَوْلِهِ اتَّخَذُوا أَحْبَارَهُمْ وَرَهْبَانَهُمْ أَرْبَابًا مِنْ دُونِ اللَّهِ وَالْمَسِيحَ ابْنَ مَرْيَمَ وَمَا أُمِرُوا إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُوا إِلَهًا وَاحِدًا لَا إِلَهَ إِلَّا هُ سُبْحَانَهُ عَمَّا يُشْرِكُونَ. Then after that he said, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that they took their أحبارهم وَرَهْبَانَهُمْ, so their ulama and their monks, as what? أَرْبَابًا مِنْ دُونِ اللَّهِ, as lords besides Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In what regards?
They would make halal what Allah made haram and make haram what Allah made halal.
What was that hadith from man?
Ibn Abbas.
No, it's not.
Ibn Mas'ud?
No. If I'm not mistaken, it's Adi ibn Hatim. Look it up though. The hadith is da'if. It's like da'if.
Really?
Yes.
Doesn't Ibn Abdul Wahhab, he mentions it in here? He mentioned it in Kitab Tawheed.
I'm pretty sure he probably did, but it's just da'if. Oh, check it later, inshallah. But if I'm not mistaken, it's Adi ibn Hatim. Alright, so, you could check the tafsir. You just go straight to the tafsir, there's ayah, you'll find it. They'll mention the hadith there, but the hadith is not authentic. Alright, but it's the meaning is correct. The meaning is that they obeyed them, and like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made something halal, but their ulama made it haram, so they followed their ulama.
Mm-hmm.
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made something haram, but their ulama make it halal, then they took their ulama as they took the sharia from their ulama, not from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So in this case, they taking them as like lords besides Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because now they govern over them and they tell them what to follow and what not to follow.
It says, give them the God they worship.
Yeah, give them the God they worship. Alright, he said, وَالْمَسِيحَ ibn Maryam. And they did the same with Isa alayhi salam. وَمَا أُمِرُوا. And they were not commanded, إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُوا إِلَهًا وَاحِدًا. That they were only commanded to worship one Lord. They weren't commanded to obey these individuals in the disobedience to Allah. They weren't commanded to worship Isa. They weren't commanded to do anything. All they were commanded to do was obey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the ulama are there to make clear to the people what?
The truth.
What they need to have taqwa. They're supposed to be there to explain what taqwa is. Like for the people, what obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is for the people to do it. That's their job. That's the job of the ulama. It's not the job of the ulama to start making up new legislation. But it's to direct the people to what obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is. So if the people are following their ulama and the legislation of the ulama against the obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then khalas, they've taken those ulama as lords besides Allah. He said, La ilaha illahu, that none has to be worshipped except Him, subhanahu amma yushrikun. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is free from any imperfections, free from any deficiencies. Amma yushrikun. So subhanahu amma yushrikun.
Just to make it clear for the brothers and potential viewers, اتخذوا أحبارهم ورهبانهم. This is meant like the Jews and Christians, they took their monks and rabbis as lords.
The Hibr is the knowledgeable person, and the Rahban is the monk. He said, وَقَوْلِهِ وَمِنَ النَّاسِ مَنْ يَتَّخِذُ مِنْ دُونِ اللَّهِ أَنْدَادًا يُحِبُّونَهُمْ كَحُبِّ اللَّهِ وَالَّذِينَ آمَنُوا أَشَدُّ حُبًّا لِلَّهِ. And of course, the love for something comes out through your worship and obedience to that thing. Right? So he said, وَمِنَ النَّاسِ, from amongst the people, مَنْ يَتَّخِذُ مِنْ دُونِ اللَّهِ أَنْدَادًا. And dad is what? It comes from the word nid.
Shabih.
Huh?
Shabih.
Shabih or mithl. Alright, so it's a mithl. They set up partners and they worship these partners just like they would worship,
Allah.
like the believers worship Allah. Alright, so he said, وَمِنَ النَّاسِ مَنْ يَتَّخِذُ مِنْ دُونِ اللَّهِ أَنْدَادًا يُحِبُّونَهُم كَحُبِّ اللَّهِ. Alright, and then some of the ulama of tafsir, they say they يُحِبُّونَ آلِهَتَهُم مِثْلَ حُبِّ لِلْمُؤْمِنِينَ لِلَّهِ. Because obviously because they're committing shirk. So they don't have that love for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But their love here, it goes back to the love of what?
Worship.
You know, like their love for Allah. Alright, وَالَّذِينَ آمَنُوا أَشَدُّ حُبًّا لِلَّهِ. But the people who believe, they have way more like stronger love for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala than these people have for their gods and what they worship. Because they're committing shirk. And once you have like your hope is like khalis, right? It's only for Allah. Then it's stronger than a person who's worshiping all these different things and his heart is all over the place.
Scattered.
Yeah, his heart's following his desires. His heart loves this and his heart loves that. How can he give he's not giving all his love to one thing. But of course the believer, because his heart is completely devoted to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and obedience to Allah, so it's not scattered. So, I mean, his love is only for Allah. So, his love is definitely going to be stronger. Alright, which is a main condition of La ilaha illallah. Is not that correct or no? Al-Muhabba, is that one of the conditions of La ilaha, of the Shahadah?
Sure. One of the main conditions.
Yes. He said, وَفِي الصَّحِيحِ أَنَ النَّبِيَّ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وسلم أنه قال من قال لا إله إلا الله وكفر بما يعبد من دون الله حرم ماله ودمه وحسابه على الله عز وجل. And he said in the Sahih, where the Prophet ﷺ said, whoever says La ilaha illallah and he disbelieves with everything that is worshipped with other than Allah, then his money and his blood, all of it become inviolable. It means that it cannot be transgressed against. It becomes haram. His money and his blood. وَحِسَابُهُ عَلَى اللَّهِ تَعَالَى عَزَّ وَجَلَّ. And his account is with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for all the sins that he might commit, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will hold him to account for these things. But this shows that that La ilaha illallah is not just what? Yeah, but it's not just saying La ilaha illallah, but there's also another connection of this bara'a min ash-shirk, bara'a min ahliha, wal-kufr bima yu'badu min dunillahi, which is al-kufr bi-taghut. Yeah, because anything that's worshipped other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is a taghut. Alright, so and that's a part of the conditions of saying La ilaha illallah. Again, you can't have this hope for Allah and hope for his enemies in the same heart. It's that would be insanity. So you either you have love for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and his deen, and if you have love for Allah, love for his messenger, then who are you going to love? You're going to love the people who follow them correctly. Well, follow the messenger and obey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? But follow the commands of Allah and his messenger. You understand? You're not going to have love for people who are disobeying Allah, disobeying his messenger, and going against their commands. Or the people and calling, and especially the people that call the people to go against those commands. Call the people away from the sunnah. You're not going to have love for people like that. You can't. And say that, that you have love for, like these people nowadays calling the people to ally with the Rafidah. I mean, think about it, Akhi. Imagine. Could you be friends with somebody who just sits around and insults your mother?
No.
So, okay, now imagine that these people sit around and insult the wife of the Prophet.
Never.
And we're going to sit here and be allied with them.
Never.
Akhi, if it was your own family, you could not be friends with them if they were insulting your family member. Now, what about the messenger that you profess that you love so much? And then you're going to be friends and allies with people who insult his wife, insult his closest companions. You know, because obviously if you insult a man's wife and you insult his companions, who are you insulting ultimately?
Him.
You're insulting him. Yeah. But you're going to be allied with these people. And you're going to be friends and you're going to think that the nasr from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to come from these? No, these people, we have al-bara'a minhum. We have complete disassociation with them. We don't have anything to do with them. You know, if it means that we die because we're weak, so let us die. But we die on Tawheed. We don't need to ally with these enemies of Allah thinking that, okay, khalas, everything's going to be hunky-dory with them. No, maybe. Let's say that, okay, you achieve some type of victory. What do you think they're going to do to you now once that victory is achieved?
They're going to turn on you.
They're going to turn on you and get rid of you now. Because you're Wahhabi, you're, Tawheed. They know that you're an enemy. Okay, so all this stuff about allying with people like that, and no, we have nothing to do with this. This is a condition. This is our deen. This is Tawheed.
Is it true that Aisha radiallahu anha is our mother, like the mother of the believers?
Mother of the believers, yeah.
Allah said that in Surah Al-Ahzab. النبي أولى بالمؤمنين and he said
That's another one.
أزواجه أمهاتهم لا أمهاتهم. Last question. This is part of the Kitab Tawheed lesson. The statement of Ibn Mas'ud is that that's marfu'an, right? Because marfu'an, what he said.
Tafsir.
كان نفر من الجن.
No, he's just giving the tafsir.
But wouldn't it be considered marfu'an? Because
Allah. Because he's not saying that he heard it from the Prophet. Just like Ibn Abbas, if he gives an interpretation of the tafsir doesn't mean that it's something that he heard from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It's his understanding,
But he wouldn't have come to that understanding had it not been for the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, right?
إلهنا سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك